You're not allowed to listen to this later.
Huh?
You can't listen to this from like the iPad though.
Why?
Oh,
Okay.
that's just rude.
Okay. I love you.
Love you. I'll see you later. Bye!
Bye.
Guys, I'm finally recording it. I know it's been, I think I said I was going to start recording this a lot before I did, but I'm here recording it now. So I've been teasing this podcast for probably a month now, or two. It's probably 2 months if we're being so realistic, but I'm finally here recording it. So welcome to Off the Record and On the Edge. My name is Danelle O Brien, and essentially what this podcast is a voice note that just got out of hand. So I'm just going to be talking about random topics, especially what you guys want to hear is essentially what I'm going to do, and stuff I want to talk about. So it's going to be a mix of a little bit of both, but what essentially the goal of this podcast is, I want you to be able to just listen to someone talk and it just be interesting or relaxing, or just to let you to shut off your brain, if that's going to work or a walk, or just in the evening before bed, or just you're relaxing and you want to put it on a TV, you want to put it on your phone, whatever. But I'm going to get into more of why I'm recording this later, because there's a multitude of reasons. Now, also, this is my first time recording any sort of podcast or long form video. The most I have done is quite literally TikTok, and even at that, I only started posting vlogs recently and posting TikToks for the last year-ish, maybe 2024. So I'm by no means an expert at editing or anything along those lines. So this is just going to improve over time. That's my goal. So what I've seen from TikTok, the more you post, the more you learn. So that's what this is going to be. And I really enjoy talking, which again, that's another thing I'm going to get into, either in this episode or another one, is a lot of people, if you're listening to this and you knew me from a few years ago, like maybe pre-college, Danelle, you probably think I don't talk. I'm a yapper. That was always there, but it came out when I went to college. So I really do enjoy talking now. I am more of a listener, which is probably confusing to a lot of people as well, if you're just now finding out about me, or if you know me, you're probably confused as well. I tend to listen more than I talk, especially if I'm with someone for a long period of time, like with my girlfriend Zuza. She tends to do most of the talking and I listen, but I also really enjoy talking, and especially I love just having fun or having deep talks. I like a mix of both, so I'm just here to honestly, hopefully just make your day a little lighter. That's my main goal. So essentially, why I'm doing this podcast. There's two reasons. One, I've always wanted to do some form of social media. I don't know why. Do you know when you're just drawn to something? And I know everyone is doing it, things like that, but I've always wanted to do some form of social media, whether that be YouTube, especially, or podcasting. So I like that creative side. I have a degree in marketing, so I just like the creative things. So this to me is fun. So it's something I'm passionate about and want to be passionate about and grow and learn more. So that's one reason. Second reason is I think having something to listen to, or maybe distract yourself with, or something that is like a comfort for you, or you need to shut off your brain, is like, it's so important. Especially if you're around, well, any age really. Like, I'm 21, and now more than ever, I think if I'm going to work, or if I had a stressful day at work, maybe watching TV, watching YouTube, obviously talking to your family and friends, make sure you're doing all that too, but it's nice to have something that, if you spend a lot of time alone even, or you want to have your own alone time, it's good to have something that you can just have a laugh with it, or just listen to something and just not have to answer, or just be entertained for a while. It's really nice. Like when I moved to Toronto in October from Ireland, I moved with my girlfriend, and I don't know anyone else here, so it's only me and her. We spend obviously a lot of our time working. We both work full-time jobs. I work in a call center, so I work either 9 to 6 or 11 to 8, depending on the month. She works usually early in the morning. She could leave the house between 7 or 9, be home between 4 and 6. So depending, we might not have that much time together. And also I have set days, she doesn't, so sometimes we don't even see each other that often during the week. So there's a lot of time, say if I'm on my break, or like if I'm off, she's working, where you've like this time period alone. So I really resonate with that, if that's why you want something to listen to. I hope this can be something that helps you with that, because it can get lonely sometimes, and yes, you need to be able to spend time with yourself without having distractions. I completely agree with that, but also sometimes you need something just to take your mind off things, and that's really what I want to do as well. So hopefully this will be that for you, especially along the way when it gets better. And if you have any suggestions on what you want me to talk about during this, please let me know, because I'm so open to anything you want me to talk about, especially those, if you know me, anything you want to know from me or you think would be a good topic for me to talk about. You've already given me questions, I'll get to that later. Let me know. And if you don't know me that well, if you have anything you want to ask, let me know. And if you don't know me at all, anything you're interested in and you want to hear what I have to say about it, let me know as well. So yeah, that's essentially what this is going to be. It's off the record and on the edge. I think that kind of describes me a little bit. My friends would definitely be able to explain that, probably better than I would. Just essentially being a little bit just jokey and chaotic. It's going to be random topics, and it's going to be a sit down. So essentially why it's called Off the Record and On the Edge is because the name is fire, I think. But essentially what's called Off the Record and On the Edge is because there's no set thing. I'm not going to be just talking about music. I'm not going to be just talking about relationships. I'm not going to be just talking about one thing. I'm going to spread it out. I want this to be like a conversation you're having with your friend or your friends or your family. And I think if I stuck to one niche, it wouldn't be relatable for a lot of people. And I want this to be literally like you're talking to someone you know, if that makes sense. Like I want it to be like you're talking to a friend, or you're listening to your friend or your family, just going on a different little rampage every week. So that's why it's Off the Record and On the Edge, because off the record, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about, and on the edge, it's a bit chaotic. It's going to be random. It's going to be hopefully fun, and I really hope it's interesting. But yeah, so that's a little rundown of why I'm doing this and why it's called that. But I'm really excited. I wanted to do this for a while. I've been talking about doing it for a while, and I am buzzing. Honestly, I'm so excited. This is so cool. I'm just so excited. I'm excited to edit. I'm excited to do it all. Genuinely. So from that, a little get to know me. My name is Danelle O Brien, as I've said. I am Irish, but I moved to Toronto in October with my girlfriend, who I was going out with for not even a year when we moved to a whole new continent together. I think that's important for the story. I don't know why, but I just think it is. I think it's a good thing to add in there. So I asked on my Instagram, Off the Record and On the Edge. Follow it if you're not, for real. But I asked on my Instagram a few questions about what I should talk about in this podcast, or what you guys wanted to hear. And essentially, majority of you guys asked me about my move to Toronto. That's what you all want to hear, and that makes a lot of sense why a lot of people want to hear that, because of, I think, the age we're at right now. A lot of people follow me, obviously, all people follow me right now are people I know, so everyone listening to this right now is probably my friends and my family. Might get a random viewer, welcome if you are. But yeah, essentially everyone wants to know about my move, and that makes sense. My friends know a lot about my move, some of my family, but there's a lot more to it that, because I'm not in the country to tell them, they probably don't know either. And I think we're at an age where everyone's, probably a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people think about moving. So you have a lot of questions about this specific thing. So that's what today's topic is essentially going to be about. It's about what it's like to move to Toronto as a 21-year-old girl with just your partner. And that's it. Okay, so I just pulled up some of the questions that I got. You can get a shout out if you want. Hopefully that, I probably will reach out to you to ask if it's okay. Yeah. But again, a majority was about Canada. So I'm just gonna go through the questions. I'm hoping that's not gonna be in any way boring, because I know watching Q&A sometimes can be a bit of a drag. So I'm gonna try and keep it as entertaining as possible and hopefully make it a bit informative, because honestly, like, if you're listening to this, you might just be curious about what it's like if you've never moved somewhere before, because it was a big move, to be honest, and it was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. Not that I really thought much about it, because again, wasn't even dating my girlfriend a year and decided to move, so this is that. We're just going to go through a few of the questions you guys asked, because I want to even encourage you maybe to move, or maybe give you advice, or see if it would be for you. Let's see, I'll give you some information and see whatever you take from it. Let me know as well what you take from this, if you would move after listening to what I'm going to say, or if you have any more questions after this as well, let me know. Okay, so let's go through it. The most questions I was asked was from Bridan. Shout out Bridan. All my friends, that is not me saying no one else asked me questions. All my friends were, and my family were trying. They were really trying. They were trying to come up with questions, and they all gave me a lot of questions, in fairness to them. But Bridan went for it. And Brianna has some good questions, which a few of them I'm going to use for another video, because there's actually something in here that I really want to talk about. Just a sneak peek in maybe episode 2, let's see. But definitely in the upcoming episodes, how has the relationship you have with your parents affected the way you view family dynamics? That's something I actually really, really want to talk about. And do you know what I love about this podcast as well? I'm kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, but when you're with your friends and family, sometimes like you don't randomly sit down and ask these questions. Like when you're talking, obviously things just come up naturally, and you might not think of asking these things, or you know. So I love that these are going to be maybe even topics that you guys don't know about, like my closest friends and family, which is crazy, which is so cool to me. It's like you get to know me a little bit better as well, which is crazy, because the friends right now who I'm calling out Bridan, we've been literally friends since we were 12 and 21, and majority of people here too, which is wild. So yeah, you might even get to know even different things, because you can't know everything about everyone, no matter what, even if you live with them. So it's pretty cool. So I'm excited, and as well, if you're listening to this and you take anything from it, I am not I'm not saying what I'm saying is always correct. I'm not an advisor, but I'll just tell you my experiences and maybe a little bit of my opinions. Well, obviously my opinions, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my experience with these topics, my opinions, things like that. That doesn't mean my opinion's right all the time, but I base my opinion off fact and experience. So there's that too. So nobody nobody come to me after this and say, you said this, so I acted like this, or this, you said this, so I did this. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Never claim to be an advice giver, but anyways. So yeah, how the relationship you have with your parents affected the way you view family dynamics. Teaser, that's definitely something I'm going to talk about because I've a lot to say about it, actually. A lot to say, and it's come up multiple times in my life, so stay tuned for that if you're interested in family dynamics and how that affects everything, essentially. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about, what it's like to move from Ireland to Canada. So again, I moved in October with my girlfriend Zuza. Zuza's not in the podcast because she's a loser. I joke. Zuza's not in the podcast because she's apparently shy. She's gonna be in an episode. You're gonna see she's not shy, but she did ask. She's actually nervous to be in the podcast. So, because she posts on TikTok, check her out. She's a carpet. She's good at TikToks, and she's built a bit of a following as well. But even when she does talkovers, she gets super nervous. So like talking videos, she's trying to do a bit more of them, but it's really out of her comfort zone. So this for her is miles too much. So that's why she's not in it. She probably eventually might be. Definitely for an episode if I do one about like relationships, or even coming out. By the way, I'm gay. Shocker again if we're not that close and you didn't know that, I'm gay. So, if we're talking about something like that, I'd love to bring her on for some questions or anything. But let's see, I'm just going to go with her comfort level because it's so fair if she doesn't want to sit in front of a camera. So, let's see. I'm not going to be peer pressure into everything, but you might hear from her eventually on the podcast. Let's see. I have no idea. But yeah, so essentially, we moved in October. I'm from Kerry in Ireland, so I'm down south in the countryside. Literally grew up in the countryside. And I met my girlfriend in October 2023. Yes, 2023. So we moved in October 2024. So it was a year after we met, we moved together, and I didn't ask her out until December 16th, 2023. So we weren't even a year going out, but I knew her for a year, if that makes it any better. But if you know me, I'm a bit spontaneous, so. But thank God I did it. It worked out for the best. She is the love of my life, dead ass. She's perfect. She's my best friend. And I've never had someone who just understands how I am and who I am so much, and I never feel like I'm a problem with her, and I hope she feels the same. Like, we're just like best friends first, and we're so locked in. Like, I never question if we're not going to work or if we'd break up, or I've none of them worries because that's out of the question with us. We just grow together, and we have the same goals in life. So by our goals, it's our relationship, our family, kids, happiness, hobbies. We don't have the same hobbies at all. I'm not saying we have the same hobbies, just we have the same outlook on life, I suppose. We have different hobbies very much, so we like a lot of different things. We have the same outlook and the same energy, so we work really well. So she's going to be around always. So that's a good thing to note there. I've got like a wife, for real. So yeah, I met her and we fell in love, and now we're living in Toronto. And so that's essentially how that happened. And this is how that came about. I never thought about moving to Canada. I don't think. Never thought about moving to Toronto. she was moving here anyways because her sister moved here. Martha, shout out Martha, hi. So she was gonna move here anyways, so she was like, I can stay for you. And I was like, girl, I'll come to Toronto. And now we're in Toronto. It's crazy. But yeah, it's so funny how things work out. Like, never thought about moving here. And now I'm falling in love with the place a little bit. I'll get into that more as well. Definitely falling in love more than I thought I would when I originally moved here. I'm sorry if I'm looking down. I'm looking to get up the questions that you guys asked because I'm going to refer to that because that's what I want to keep on topic with. So let me pull them up. I'm going to focus this time. Also, if you don't know me very well, I tend to go on tangents. Like, I have a very, I go from one topic to the other. So, the structure of this, for the first while, it's definitely going to be a little chaotic. If you're confused about why I jump topic to topic, I apologize. It's probably not going to change. Actually, it's very unlikely to change. Unless I get, you have to get used to it, I'm afraid. I'll try my best, but no promises. I tend to get distracted and I remember things and I jump back to it. It's a whole thing. So anyway, Q&A. First episode Q&A. So, Brian as well, I'll be answering more of your questions on later videos, so that's why. I'm not ignoring anyone's, I'm not ignoring anyone's questions. If I'm leaving out your question for this video, it's not that I'm not going to use it. I definitely want to use any questions I'm asked. I want to incorporate it, obviously, if it's respectful. So I'm going to use them, but I'm keeping, even the questions that you asked me for this first episode one, I'm going to, if I think it's more suited to another video, I'm going to do that. So that's just another thing to keep in mind as well. So, don't feel left out. Anyways, let's go. Brian Evans, shout out. So, Brian asks, what's been the biggest surprise since moving over to Canada? The biggest surprise. Oh, also, I'm not scripting. That's another thing to note. This podcast is, I have a general idea of what I'm going to talk about, but I'm not scripting. So, you're quite literally getting me again, because I want it to be like you're talking to your friend. I'm just going to be talking. There's no script. A rough idea of where I'm going to go with the video, but no script. So, what's the biggest surprise for moving here? I had a few surprises personally because I think whenever you move somewhere, you have this idea of what it's going to be. Now, first off, before I say anything, me and Zuza got so blessed, so lucky, blessed, whatever you call it, I call it blessed, when we moved here. As in, the job market here, so if you're thinking of moving, the job market's really tough. It's really hard to find a job here. We both found one within the first 2 weeks. That's really rare. So we got really lucky with that. Also, our apartment situation, we were in a Toronto Irish group chat on Facebook, and someone was going to be moving back to Ireland. So they had the apartment and they had a few months left on their lease, so they essentially gave us the rest of their lease and we finished off. I can't remember the exact word for that. I don't think it's subleasing. Oh no, I could look it up. I'll insert it when I'm editing. But so we found an apartment too outside of downtown. So we live outside downtown by about 30 minutes, and the subway 35. You're driving, it's like 20. So we're not far. We're right beside a subway station, so it's ideal. But we got this apartment. We only had to pay first and last month's rent when we moved in, whereas with downtown you'd have to put down like a down payment of a few months. We didn't have to do any of that, so it was perfect. Also, our rent price is really good for the size apartment we have. Again, I'm going to insert how much square feet we have because I always get it wrong. I think it's 500 something, but that could be completely wrong. Zuza always corrects me on it, so I'm going to insert that here. But I had a really good feeling about this when we were talking to this person, and I fell in love straight away when we came to visit, like the day after we landed. We came to view this apartment, so like this was lined up, and I just had such a good feeling. And the second I saw the apartment and came to the area, I literally fell in love. And I'm so in love with the area we live in. It is literally gorgeous. We live beside a park, a really nice little town. It is perfect because I didn't want to live downtown after staying there for a while. And it's not that I don't like cities, I actually do like cities. But something about downtown, the only place I would consider moving there is waterfront, because it's a bit more open and it has scenery. Downtown Toronto is very clustered together, I think. I don't know if that makes sense because it's massive. I'm not saying it's small. It is in no means small. But when I was in, like, say, Chicago or New York, even there I wouldn't have lived downtown. Like, when both of them places I was staying outside of the city, which I think is the best because you get peace and quiet, which I really like, and then you also have the city vibes that you can go to whenever you want. So it's perfect for me. So we had apartment and we had jobs, so we were locked in. Now as well, if you're thinking of moving to Toronto, or honestly, I'm not sure, obviously I can't speak on prices for everywhere because this is the only place I've ever moved to. But when you travel to Canada, and I'm assuming for a lot of places, especially if it's outside of Europe, you're thinking, if you have a credit score at home, you can't carry that over. So when we moved here, we had to have $25,000 Canadian dollars in our bank account to show that we could afford rent for at least a year in order to get an apartment. So that's something really important to keep in mind because honestly, I didn't know that before we moved here. Thankfully, we had it. We're like my family. Thankfully, we had it. So we were able to get our apartment, but that's something really to keep in mind because honestly, I don't think that's talked about enough that you need. Because to move over here, you only need to have like $2.5 grand in your bank. It's something really low like that. 2.5 to 5 max, I think is what it is. I'm inserting everything because bad memory, but it's something like that. But you need 25 grand to get an apartment. And I don't know if I think that's kind of the standard here, but whatever is, when you don't have a credit score, you need to show you can pay at least your rent in most places. So that's something to really keep in mind if you're thinking about moving. You have to have a lot saved up. So if you're thinking about moving, I would recommend saving as much money as you possibly can from the paychecks you're getting. Honestly, because you're going to need a lot of money to start up. A lot. It's a lot of money. So we're lucky because there's the two of us, so we have 2 incomes, things like that, but it's expensive to move away. It's very expensive to move away. Any savings, out the door. Forget about savings you had at home. They're going to be gone as soon as you move here, so that's something to keep in mind as well. If you're trying to have like a savings built up, when you're committing to moving somewhere, I think you can have a bit of, well, maybe I had, you can have an unrealistic expectations like, oh, I can travel here, I can travel there, I can travel. You can travel, for sure. Like we've gone to Niagara a few times, things like that. We're planning a trip to Montreal or Quebec. We want to go to America as well. But you got to think, it's hard to get jobs here, so you got to be locked in with your job for real. Majority of the vacation time you're going to be taking, if it's not obviously for sick leave or something that you can't control, it's going to be because people are visiting you. If I'm lucky enough to have people visiting me, which I'm so blessed for, so again, that might not be everyone's situation. If it's not, I would highly encourage you to travel during that time. And if you are looking to do that, that would be ideal. In my personal situation, my vacation time, again, outside of things you can't control like sick leave, is family or friends visiting, which I'm so happy about. Like, there's no complaints there, none at all. I want everyone to visit me, literally everyone. I just want to see everyone. It's so nice when someone comes. Oh my god, it is the best feeling ever. Dropping them off at the airport though is the worst feeling ever. I have such mixed feelings about that airport. Oh my god, this Pearson airport and me have beef. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Depends if I'm collecting or dropping off someone. But yeah, that is a tough one. That's something I'm going to talk about later on in this video. What it's like to drop people off, but I'm going to stay on topic for a moment because I'm going on a tangent again. The surprises I've had moving here. So that's a big surprise that I've had moving here. Like I said, was the pay of how much you'd have to pay upfront for an apartment. You don't necessarily have to pay it, but you have to show it. And also another surprise, maybe you might not think about, with the traveling thing. You can definitely travel, but again, in my personal situation, most of my vacation days are used for people coming over to visit me, which again, no complaints, so grateful for, all I want in the world. It makes me so happy. I love when people visit. It's the best thing in the world. So this isn't me complaining. It's just something that maybe could be a surprise because you think you can do it all. But you can't really, you can't book time off to go traveling. So it's weekend traveling really is what you're doing. So that's what we're planning on doing, going on like a Friday night. That's what we did with Niagara. Going on Friday night, coming back Sunday. So it's really quick trips if you're going to be traveling. Again, my experience. So that's probably something slightly different, you think, because I think when you move, especially to somewhere like Toronto, you're moving to a place that the workplace, it's not like you're moving to Italy where you're working maybe like either in the mornings or the evenings and you have a certain part of the day. I don't know. I feel like obviously in the industry I'm in as well, it's very intense. Maybe more so than Zeus's job. Like the industry I'm in right now is quite intense, so you should really be locked in with your job and it takes a lot out of you. So yeah, traveling is a lot. And just trying to find time for it really is a lot. So that's something that I guess was a surprise as well.